My name is Damian. Welcome to Portland. This is America's security guard. When I first moved to Portland in 2020, that was the first time that I've ever done any martial arts. And I started at 10th Planet. This was right when the pandemic was kicking off. So I got a couple of months in there, and then, everything shut down. I was working for the security company, a different security company, and we were doing the riots. So everything just kind of fell apart in 2020. So after about, I'd say 3 months, I was completely out of it. So it wasn't until last August when I came here that I've started to get really consistent with it. I mean, I literally live 3 minutes away from here, and just made the decision that this is what I need for my job, what I want to do for myself, and I needed something. I really did need something. So I just decided that I was going to pour as much of my time and effort into this as possible and see how far I could get with it.
Questions on those two sweeps? All right, 1, 2. Let's go play, guys. I mean, I've been teaching martial arts my whole life. I started coaching wrestling when I was still in college, and when I got out of college, I coached Division I wrestling for a while, and then I coached the Rio Games, and I coached the Tokyo Games. So I was 8 years as the national coach, and then worked a lot with fundamental kids, developmental age groups, and I was managing all programs, but I was focusing mostly on preparing our teams to bring home medals for the United States and at the world level, whether it was Olympic Games or the World Championships. But I've been coaching here now at my gym here for 25 years.
Man, on a personal level, I mean, more than anything, it's given me an outlet. Like, my job is so stressful and it's so difficult. I deal with the worst common denominator every single day. I see the worst in people. I see people at the worst point in their life. I deal with homeless community, people who are suffering from mental illness. Even where I live, like right down the street, like there's drugs and there's homelessness and there's crime, like literally outside my door. It's really just been an outlet and giving me like a place to just honestly just breathe, as crazy as that sounds when somebody's trying to choke you.
I love martial arts. I love learning how to fight, whether it was through wrestling or jiu-jitsu or MMA. It doesn't really matter, the fighting art. Being a young man that was riding horses and ponies, you get picked on a lot. And so I took up fighting instead. And so I could defend myself and protect myself. And I want men to know how to fight. Fighting is essential. It's part of life. And so teaching people how to do it properly and giving them the confidence to go out there and know that they can win with the skills they have. And I want to teach them the proper way to do things. And then there's also just figure it out and tough it out sometimes.
So for me, like, I'm 46. I'm quite certain I'm the oldest person out there other than the coach. And so, like, a lot of what I've learned over the last 6 to 7 months is just being calm under pressure. At this point, like, I'm not really in a position to where I'm able to, defeat people a lot. So what my position here has been is just like being comfortable being uncomfortable. And, very early in the development of what I was doing, like, I had a really hard time with that. And I realized that those two things were so compatible because, like, on the street, when someone is angry or aggressive or upset, or somebody is frustrated and they want to fight, like, you're uncomfortable in that scenario, in that situation. So everything that I've learned here about just being able to survive in that environment has totally carried over into working downtown and Old Town and some of these places where every single day someone is threatening me or trying to fight me or upset about something. Like, it's really carried over. It's been very helpful.
Yeah, I think the things you learn from martial arts is you learn to be humble and know that, the gifts that you have to be able to do this are from God, and you're blessed to have these gifts. And I mean, the biggest thing that has brought to my life is fun, enjoyment, pleasure. I enjoy what I do. When I go to work every day, I see people grow, I see them improve, I see them get better.
Restraint is so important, especially for us working for Echelon, because we're armed officers. So, the responsibility of carrying a firearm and having the ability through the state to potentially use that if need be, like, that's a huge responsibility. So I think the biggest issue for a lot of security guards is that it's a very low barrier of entry to be an armed officer, but the responsibility of carrying that firearm and not using it inappropriately or putting yourself in a situation where you're potentially intimidating somebody or going to that when you don't necessarily have to, that's a huge issue. I think that if more people would put themselves in a training environment, and unfortunately for armed officers, there's not a lot of training in terms of de-escalation. You really need to put yourself in these types of environments where you're kind of going through that stress inoculation so that when you're on the street, you're able to operate with more restraint.